Hello, lovely people of the internet. George here, your guide through the tangled vineyard of love and the law. Today, we're dissecting the not-so-romantic side of matrimony, divorce. But not just any divorce. The kind where you might still have a chance to say "I do" all over again to the same person. Confused? Stick around. Let's imagine you've been, let's say, overzealously supporting Tottenham. And let's say your other half doesn't appreciate the spirited debates you start after a few too many. Next thing you know, she's off to the lawyers. If she petitions the court for divorce and is successful in obtaining a decree nisi, then she will be well on the way to getting her marriage dissolved. What is a decree nisi? And what is its legal effect in law? A decree nisi is a judicial order that signifies the court's preliminary decision to grant a divorce. But it is not yet final or absolute. In other words, the decree nisi is the first of two decrees in the process of obtaining a legal divorce. The term nisi is Latin for unless, indicating that the divorce will become final unless there is a good reason for the court not to grant it. Here's a breakdown of what a decree nisi means in the context of divorce proceedings. Pronouncement. Once the court is satisfied that the petitioner, the person who has filed for divorce, has sufficiently proven the grounds for divorce, it issues a decree nisi. This is an indication that the court sees no reason why the marriage can't be dissolved. Cooling off period. The decree nisi introduces a mandatory waiting period before the divorce can be finalized. This period allows for any additional claims or appeals to be made by either party, which could potentially affect the final settlement or even the granting of the divorce itself. Finality in waiting. It's important to note that at this stage, the parties are still legally married and cannot remarry. The decree nisi is not the end of the marriage. It's more like a formal pause where the court has essentially said, "This marriage is ending unless." Decree absolute. After a set period, usually 6 weeks and 1 day after the decree nisi is granted, the petitioner can apply for a decree absolute, which is the legal document that officially ends the marriage. Once the decree absolute is issued, the divorce is final, and both parties are free to remarry. In essence, the decree nisi is the court's initial agreement to the divorce, but it holds off on finalizing the decision to allow time for any other considerations that may arise. It's a crucial part of the divorce process, as it sets the stage for the final and absolute legal dissolution of the marriage. If she cites your unreasonable behavior, like mistaking the living room for the pub, and a judge agrees, you might find yourself in a bit of a dicey situation and facing the prospect of a decree nisi. A conditional order of divorce or decree nisi, as it is commonly known, when granted by a judge, is not the end of your marriage, and there is still hope that the marriage can be salvaged. The law provides for a 6-week cooling-off period from the time you get a decree nisi for you to apply for a decree absolute. After the lapse of 6 weeks, if you do not apply for a decree absolute, you are technically considered to be still married, as your status on the civil status register would not have changed. It is only when you apply and receive the decree absolute from the Registrar of the Supreme Court that your marriage is considered as having been ended. The decree absolute, which is also known as a certificate of divorce, needs to be registered with the Civil Status Office in order to change your status from that of a married woman to a spinster, which means you are free to marry again if you choose to do so. If neither of you has a revelation that leads to a romantic reunion montage, then comes the decree absolute. That's the ref blowing the final whistle. What is a decree absolute, and what is its legal effect on a marriage? A decree absolute is the final and conclusive legal document in the divorce process that officially ends the marriage. Once it is issued by a court, the marriage is legally terminated, and both parties are returned to their single status and are free to remarry if they choose. The legal effects of a decree absolute are as follows. Termination of marriage. The marriage is legally dissolved, and both parties are no longer husband and wife. Remarriage. Both individuals are free to marry again. Any subsequent marriage entered into before the decree absolute is issued would be legally invalid and potentially constitute the crime of bigamy. Parental responsibility. While the decree absolute ends the legal relationship between the spouses, it does not affect each parent's rights and responsibilities towards their children. Name change. Following the decree absolute, either party may choose to revert to their maiden name or a previous name if they wish to do so. The decree absolute is therefore the legal instrument that conclusively brings the marriage to an end and allows both individuals to move forward as legally single persons, with all the associated rights and responsibilities that status entails. Conclusion. So, divorce, as can be seen, is a two-step process. First, you have to get a decree nisi, conditional order of divorce. Then, after 6 weeks, you must apply for and obtain a decree absolute. Once you receive the decree absolute, you need to register it with the Office of the Civil Status. Registration constitutes notice to the whole world that you are no longer married, and that you are able to marry again if you choose to do so. The registration of the decree absolute at the Civil Status Office serves several important legal functions. Public record. The registration of the decree absolute provides an official record of the divorce that is accessible to the public. This serves as an official notice to the world that the marriage has been legally dissolved. Remarriage. Once the divorce is registered, it confirms that an individual is legally divorced and thus free to remarry. It is the act of registration that updates the individual's civil status in official records. Legal certainty. Registration helps to prevent legal disputes regarding marital status, as it provides clear evidence that an individual is no longer married. Administrative purposes. It ensures that the individual's legal status is accurately reflected in government records, which is important for administrative matters, such as taxation, social security, and pensions. International recognition. For those who intend to remarry abroad or need to prove their divorce in another jurisdiction, the registration at the Civil Status Office is often a necessary step to ensure that the divorce is recognized internationally. In essence, the registration of the decree absolute is the mechanism by which the change in marital status is formally and legally acknowledged by the state. It does indeed constitute notice to the whole world that the individual is legally divorced and eligible to enter into a new marriage. Well, that's a wrap on today's Legal Enlightenment session. I hope you found our journey through the ups and downs of divorce law as informative as it was, dare I say, entertaining. It's a peculiar thing. Our analytics tells me that a whopping 95% of you wonderful viewers watch our videos, but wander off without tapping that like button or subscribing. It leaves one to ponder, doesn't it? So here's a heartfelt plea from me to you. If you've gleaned even a nugget of wisdom from our channel, show us some love. Hit like, smash, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. It's a small gesture for you, but it means the legal world to us. And here's my promise to you. Your likes and subscriptions are the fuel that powers our content engine. They motivate us to delve deeper, research harder, and produce more of the knowledge-packed videos that you deserve. They're not just for show. They're your ticket to becoming a well-informed client, ready to impress even the most stoic lawyer with spot-on questions and a keen understanding of legal matters. So, for the sake of legal knowledge, and perhaps a few laughs along the way, join our legal bandwagon. Together, we'll ensure you walk into that lawyer's office armed with insight, confidence, and the power to make informed decisions. Ciao, ciao.